All right, good. So let's start. We could get started. We could start with the Knox boxes. Ms. Georgia actually planned a little presentation for us. And I'm hoping that, we could all get enlightened. I know I will be. And then we could figure out a way to get the word out. Go ahead, Miss Georgia. You can um, tell us what you have.
Thank you. Thank you. If you don't mind, I rush, so
That's
that's
fine.
okay.
That's fine.
1 second, I have a piece of gum in my mouth, and that would be kind of rude to, excuse me. Sorry, thank you.
It's okay.
Well, good afternoon. I'd like to just thank Councilwoman Zeta for inviting me to this meeting today. I so appreciate it. And also, I would like to thank everyone who's involved in community service in such a variety of ways. Thank you for your service in our community. It's just so appreciated by me and my family, and I'm sure those in the community. Well, as Zeta said, my name is Georgia Briggs. A little bit about me: I'm a widow at age 71. I live alone at 763 Plumtree Road. My family and I moved to Springfield in 1980. I've been an active member in the community as a school volunteer, vice president of the East Forest Park Civic Association. In 2003, I started a nonprofit called the Bear With Me Project, which provides new stuffed animals to emergency responders. Over 20,000 stuffed animals have been provided to 30 towns and agencies in Western Mass, most of them going to our own Springfield Police and Fire Departments. I work full-time at the Springfield Rescue Mission, and I've been there for 35 years. So that's a little bit about me. Well, we all have challenges in our life, and when I have to face them, the question in my mind is, what did I learn from this experience, and how can I use what I learned to help someone else? And a call to action, as it were. So that's the reason I'm here today, to share something that happened to me, presenting a call to action. On the evening of April 1st this year, I was at home watching television when I suffered a heart attack. Mm-hmm. As I just stated, I live alone. Fortunately, my cell phone was, I could barely call 911. I was extremely weak and close to fainting. The dispatch agent was barely able to hear me to her questions. She asked if my door was unlocked, and I always lock both my storm and interior doors, so the answer was no. Could I get to the door and lock it? I didn't think I could, but only by God's grace was I able to get to the front door to unlock them both for the fire department and the EMT's main entrance. I was then transferred by ambulance and was in the hospital for 5 days, having had a surgical procedure. And while there, I had plenty of time to think. If I could not have opened the door, someone would have had to break into my home to get to me. And this caused me to think, what about the many other emergency calls where doors had to be broken down by emergency responders to gain access in order to help someone? And specifically, I was thinking about seniors because I am one. I had heard about a lockbox program in other towns, so I spoke with a Springfield Fire Department captain, and I'm sorry, I forgot his name, where I was told there is a key box program for Springfield businesses, but not for residential homes. As I was doing some research, I read an article in the Reminder newspaper about the city of Holyoke, who implemented a lockbox program, which you may have received a copy of. Wilbraham and other surrounding communities also have similar programs. I met with Wilbraham Fire Department Captain Matthew Walsh and Social Service Coordinator Barbara Harrington at the Senior Center, where they shared how Wilbraham's community program worked. Their public information for seniors is posted on their monthly newsletter, their website, and local newspaper. At a senior center to lease have boxes installed on the door. Fire department dispatch received the name and address list of those people who leased a Knox box from the senior center. In this way, emergency responders know ahead of time who has a box. The fire department has a master key for the Knox boxes that contain residents' house keys. These security boxes cost an average of $250 each, which have been paid for by individuals and community grants. You may have a copy of their Knoxbox lease agreement, which is $12 annually. Think of people in Springfield. I wanted to do thing to help make a safer community for all of us, and that would be to have a secure lockbox installed on the doors of those homes for seniors who want them. It's all voluntary. I've sent a small pack of information if you are familiar with what these boxes look like and where they would be mounted. According to what I read online, the fiscal year 23 Springfield budget listed 12.8% of these population to be 65 years and older. If my math is correct, that would be about 19,959 people over the age of 65. Not all seniors live alone or live as I do, in a single family home, but there are a great many who do. What I'm asking for from the City Council Human Services Committee to begin the process implementation of a citywide residential secure Knoxbox or Knox pre-disabilities to start with. I would suggest the program be managed by the Shine staff at the Raymond model. If I read this correctly, I believe the residential lock.
Thank you, Ms. Georgia. And before we go on, can I get the identification for cell or phone number 237-924, please? Who might that be? You're muted. Focus Springfield, do we know who that is? Identified?
It's Z Johnson.
Oh,
Yeah, you're welcome.
okay, great. So again, thank you, Ms. Georgia, for that presentation. And again, I think that it's really a great idea. I don't know if the city would be able and willing, right, to get a Knoxbox for the approximately 20,000 seniors you referenced, but you said it's $250 for each box, and there's a lease agreement of $12 a month.
So
That's what the Wilbraham community has used, yes.
Okay, so Commissioner Calvi, yes.
So the boxes cost $250 and up a piece, depending on which model box you buy.
Mhm.
We do have several boxes out on residences in the city. So people do have the ability to purchase their own Knoxbox and have it in the.
Right.
They're the only people that have keys to service and do it. So
Mhm.
there's several issues with resident. Will we go and key the box if an accident or emergency were to happen? The keys are useless to us.
Mhm.
Every time you change a key or lose a key on your house, we have to go service the box. Having that many Knox boxes out just on a program like this.
Mhm.
So people who have, there's a city ordinance that every building that has a automatic fire alarm system has to have a Knox box. And just managing those for us is a very busy situation because we're doing 3 to 4 of those a week Knox box services alone. And the problems I described with the keys happen to each one of those because we go to buildings with Knox boxes and we still end up forcing doors because locks have been changed.
Okay.
So it's a good program, but there's also drawbacks with the program, and labor and manpower is no small part of it.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very
Commissioner,
much.
thank you.
So the city of
I just
Holyoke,
wanted to say the total, I'm sorry, I just wanted to say that that was the total number that was given on the website for, from the city council. And not all of those seniors are living in a single home where this would be something applicable. And also it would be a voluntary, and I understand that Wilbraham and Holyoke is different, populations and different things. But with the Wilbraham, they do have a lease agreement with people. So I know it's not perfect, and their population is much smaller than what Springfield is.
Right.
But is there a way to? You mentioned that there were some boxes available. And I'm sure that there's not going to be even 10,000 people that are going to sign up for this right away. But for those that we could even just start in certain areas just to begin to offer this as something for our seniors. I know for myself, living alone, I'm thinking about this. Believe me, after it's happened one time, what's going to happen to me if I need help and I can't get to my door? You know,
We're just
I
gonna
like
break
my
it down.
door.
So you'll get a new one after that if you can't get to your door.
Right. And yeah, and I wanted to let Commissioner Calvi finish his statement. And I don't think that we're here to solve this issue and to make a decision on it. We're just getting some information. I appreciate Ms. Georgia, you coming on and being very, it sounds like adamant and passionate about this, which I really like. And Commissioner Calvi, you know, again, we always have to look at what the issues are, because I envision everybody in the city having the Knox box, and that's not realistic.
No,
Go ahead,
no.
Commissioner.
No. So the Holyoke program was run by a CDBG grant where they got X number of boxes. The problem with funding them that way is CDBG is capped. I believe it's between 13 and 15% that can be used for a program like this, which is a service program. So if you're going to use that money for that, you're going to take it away from another program as well, which is a parks program, an after school program, a jobs program. That money is going to come from that to buy these boxes. And if you're going to do it in that fashion, but say we got 300 boxes to give them out, 300 boxes, when you look at if you use the Holyoke program, they spent $30,000 and would they get 150 boxes? That's for 30,000 people. You spend that same $30,000, we have 156,000 people in the city of Springfield.
Right.
And that 150 boxes that you're going to give out is another 150 calls for the Springfield Fire Department. So then you do economies of scale on the same type program. Holyoke goes to roughly, say, 10,000 calls a year. We're answering 20,000 calls a year. So when you start extrapolating these numbers out, just providing boxes, even the 5,000 people, is 5,000 additional calls for the Springfield Fire Department.
Right. Yeah.
And so we really don't have the bandwidth for something like this for such a large scale program. And our programming is spent towards smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, because there's so many houses in the city that still don't have those. And the bang for the dollar is better for us spending our programming dollars, making sure everyone has a smoke detector and a carbon monoxide detector in their home that works. Now, and the Knox Box program is a great program, but footing the bill for it and making a mandatory program like this that's so large would become unmanageable very quickly.
Thank you, Commissioner.
May I ask
So, hold on, Miss Georgia. We're gonna let others chime in on this as well.
Sure. I'm sorry.
So no, that's okay. So I think I agree with you, Commissioner Calvi, and I don't know if Sandy, do you want to chime in on this? Because my vision, maybe after hearing Commissioner Calvi's comments, is to just get the word out so people know about it. So if they live alone, if they're over 65, it's encouraged that they purchase a Knox box if they can afford it, right? If they can't afford it, maybe there might be a program where we can offer to supplement some of it or maybe help them out with it. But I thought that this might be a good kind of like marketing to let them know about it. And like Miss Georgia, she found out about it because she had a heart attack and she was home alone. So Sandy, I don't know if you want to comment on that and see if that might be something maybe we can do.
Yes, Counselor. That's actually what I was thinking about, because I recognize the volume. I don't think we can make it mandatory. When you're dealing with the senior population, you're also dealing with the aging process, and for them to remember what they have in their home, and also to trust a box being put in with someone coming to their home should they need it. I think the education piece is where we need to be with this. first and foremost, letting them know that it's out there, what it's for. My thought was my outreach team could do a series of outreaches in the community at all of our senior centers. And perhaps Commissioner, if you wanted to get on board, I think we need to develop this. I don't think this is something we should do a big media splash and then fall on our faces. I'm really, I want to be proactive and preemptive, if you will. So I'd rather be cautious. But my thoughts were along the lines of outreach to the communities, letting them know exactly what this involves. There's two different issues: those that live alone, but the income levels are also a huge concern. Even if they're families, and I thought of maybe doing something, inviting family members to come, not just the seniors themselves, and marketing it as a great Christmas present or birthday present or something along those lines. And maybe families could get together and chip in, but then they have to recognize the maintenance side of it, that monthly fee. And if we're successful, now Commissioner Calvi's going to be knocking on my door saying, thanks a lot. Now they all want them. How do we manage it? So do we limit it? I think these are just questions I'm throwing out there for us as a team to discuss and try to evaluate.
Counselor, go on.
Sandy, if people bought them, there'd be no monthly fee. I think Wilbraham bought some and then rents them to the people as a monthly fee to recoup some of their money that they outlaid. But
okay,
if someone bought a Knox box, there's no monthly fee for us.
Okay.
No, I meant for the seniors themselves, right? Is there a monthly fee to maintain the box?
No, because they own the box. The monthly fees if they're leasing it from the Wilbraham.
So
Fire
Wilbraham
Department.
Leased them out.
I don't know how they do their program, but that's what it sounds like from what Ms.
Right.
Briggs says. They lease the boxes at $12 a month.
Oh, I see. But they purchased them.
I believe it's the Wilbraham Fire Department may have purchased a few of them.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't. And then how do you?
Counselor, go on.
I think Councilor Allen wants to chime in. Go ahead,
I'm
Councilor
sorry.
Allen.
Go ahead, Counselor.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks, everybody. Sorry, I'm driving and I can't figure out how to raise my hand here. So, thanks. Kudos to Georgia for bringing this up. I didn't know anything about this, and while you might know about it, BJ, this is news to me. She mentioned it to me a few weeks ago, but so I think the main thing here is, the value of it for people, like it was for her it would have been for her, when she had the heart attack. So, the money part of it obviously is a challenge. It is with everything we do in the city. But I think Sandy's idea is of some sort of education program, an awareness program to start out with that. And maybe there's a way to pilot it in some area or something. I don't know if we're at that point yet, but I think there's all kinds of positives here. I didn't know anything about this. So it sounds like you do, BJ. So that's good. You're in that line of work. But what if we could figure out a way to, make people aware of it, or they could possibly purchase it or whatever, but at least that we could make people aware of it because could save people's lives. I mean, Georgia's a prime example of where it would have helped. And Georgia, by the way, she and her husband were, when I went door to door 14 years ago, theirs was one of my favorite doors to hit. They're great people. And she's, her husband died since then, but I love to see her putting her good heart into work for our city.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think, Councilor Allen, that's the route that we were talking about, is to do kind of like a marketing campaign targeted to, certain seniors. And I'm sure that Sandy, I would be glad to sit in with you guys on how you guys want to put this forward. And I'm hoping that maybe Commissioner Calvi, if you'll take some time out from your schedule to join us in the planning of how we push it forward. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I'd be happy to do that, but what people need to realize, there needs to be a big education component, because you just can't buy a Knox box and put your keys in. we have to
Right.
come out and service the box.
Right, yeah,
So, and you can't buy a box unless it has a signature. There's only 3 signatures in the city that allow you to purchase a box from the Knox Corporation. Mine, the deputy chiefs, and the captain of fire prevention. So each box has to be signed off on by us to give you permission to buy one.
right. So definitely we would need your department involved. And again, I think this is a very preliminary stage of this process or this program. It sounds like we're going to be implementing. And I know Commissioner Calvi that, you know, it might take a lot more manpower. So I'm wondering if this might be a reason to increase your personnel there, which we need, I think.
So the engine companies are the ones that service the boxes. And what people need to realize, this is a low priority for us to go service a Knox box.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if we're busy, it may be hours people waiting for us. Because
Right.
if we're going call to call to call,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to pull an engine company out of Pine Point or the Acres to come downtown to service a Knox box.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So these are just all things that prohibit,
again, those are
a large scale city plan to issue
Right.
Knox boxes.
Of course. Yeah, and I think those are the kind of things that we're gonna have to talk about in our group when we start thinking about what kind of outreach we might want to do. So we'll definitely need you.
Oh, and people don't need to worry about this being a key thing to save their lives, because if you call 911, we're getting through the door.
Oh, we know that.
And we can do it quick.
Yeah, and you know, and I know that I think Ms. Georgia is concerned about the cost of replacing a door that is knocked down. But I think that if you're a homeowner, your insurance should be able to cover that to help out with it at least. And then, you know, of course, if you're a renter, hopefully the landlord will take care of that.
Oh yeah, where these are usually, where you see the Knox boxes are multi-residential buildings usually.
Mhm.
And that's, and we still break doors down there and the landlord has to replace them because they don't keep the keys current in the box.
Right. Okay. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. And Ms. Georgia, I want to thank you again for coming on and bringing this to my attention, apparently to Councilor Allen's attention, and then to the whole city. Hopefully, we won't put too much work on Commissioner Calvi, but I think it's a great program. And thank you, Sandy, for your input as well. I think the next item on our agenda is the Springfield Dementia Coalition, and that's the reason that Megan and Z, and it looks like Cynthia Clemens is here as well. Who, I think Cindy, did you want to start?
Counselor, are you good with me? I'm going to jump off.
Yes, thank you so much, Commissioner. Thank you for coming on.
You're
And,
welcome.
You too.
Have a great
Ms.
day.
Georgia, you too. Ms. Georgia,
Bye-bye.
you don't have to stay if you don't want to, but
Thank
you could listen if you want. Go ahead, Cindy. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me? Yep.
Commissioner
Good
Collins, too.
afternoon.
If I can be of any help in the process, I can offer my services.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We might be calling on you.
Thank you. I'll leave.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Cindy.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes?
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So I see Springfield Dementia Friendly is here. So I actually, if you don't mind, just the flip sides a little bit, maybe let Springfield Dementia Friendly speak first, and then I piggyback on their input. Is that okay, Zeta?
That's fine. Just note that we only have until 2 o'clock.
Understood.
Thank you. Go ahead. I think it's Ms. Z, the Springfield Dementia Coalition.
Maybe, is she on mute?
Yeah, are you on mute, Ms. Z?
I'm texting her to unmute.
Megan, do you wanna,
Okay.
oh, there you
Okay,
go.
sorry about that. Actually, I believe Megan LeMay may have added this agenda to this particular meeting. I don't know if Megan's on.
She is.
Hi, hi Z. I didn't add this to the agenda. Yeah,
Oh, you know who it
I
was? It was
I didn't
Cindy.
request this either. Oh, okay.
It was
Because
Cindy
I
that
wasn't sure.
requested it.
I mean, there's stuff I can talk about always, but
Absolutely. No,
Well,
I
okay,
think.
then,
but I
Then
will
I'll
just
stop.
say, I mean, we would love to talk more with Sandy because she's on. Hi, Sandy.
Hi,
Wait, you're Sandy
Oh, hey,
Federico, right?
yes.
Okay.
good, good.
But nice to see you and everyone. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely stuff we want to follow up on and just keep working on as far as making improving things here in Springfield and continuing to make it more dementia friendly. And so we'd love to continue to talk and just work on some things. Particularly, you know, I think, you know, we would love to continue to do a few more education programs at the senior center, and also at some point, if we can talk about maybe offering potentially a support group at the senior center or a memory cafe. So I know these are big goals, but they're not actually that big. I mean, they're quite doable, but something we can talk about just to be able to offer more services and something. They're actually simple, but to get going might take some effort, but I'll hand it back to Cindy, and that's something we can just continue to talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
No, thank you,
Well,
Megan.
Let me just add one sentence here, because I think it's important for the community to know that the Springfield Dementia Friendly Coalition at one point was inactive, but now we are very active. So we want that to be known, and that we want the support of the community, as Megan said, to continue to have Springfield be a dementia-friendly, age-friendly, and a health-friendly system. Okay, now, Cindy, you can begin.
Thank you, Ms. Z.
Thank you, Z. So to talk to them more about the concerns that I have as a nurse, my specialty is Alzheimer's and dementias. I own Safe Harbor Adult and Senior Services, and I have a residential program as well. You know, I was concerned and have voiced this concern, and I don't know who knows anybody in the upper echelon of Bay State and Mercy. You know, my concerns are really more in the realm of being fearful, literally, of bringing my patients, speaking of being dementia friendly as a city, bringing my patients to like the ER. I literally have concerns about the lack of training and lack of understanding about what dementia and Alzheimer's presents. Even as recently as last week, I brought someone to the ER, went through the whole rigmarole about how to speak to this person, how to address her. I got the yeah. And then when I left, and I was nervous about leaving, when I left, I said to the nurse, "Can we get a sitter?" "Oh," she says, you know, a younger person, old enough to be my child, absolutely. She says to me, "Well, that's for people who are hurting themselves." I said, "Well, she's escalating. Her anxiety is getting to be from 0 to 100. And so 30 seconds later, what did she do? She ripped out 2 IVs and got a sitter." I mean, why do we have to go to that extreme? We certainly have behavioral health crisis teams in place. My understanding is sort of how that's being rearranged with Bay State. I think there's some contract issues with them in BHN. I don't know the details, but I'm thinking that something like that needs to be in place. This was just last week. Then the next morning, I was speaking to another young nurse. No offense against young nurses, but just having due respect for, you know, your colleagues. I asked her a couple questions. "Well, my patients are critical." And I said, "Well, my patient is as equally important." And so instead of the back and forth and tit for tat, if she had just given me my due respect as, you know, as a colleague and a registered nurse and a professional, and answered some very simple questions that could have been answered had she given me a proper nurse to nurse report, instead of, you know, like I wanted to go smack her like I do my kids. Oh, excuse me. Sipping some water, I choked.
Cindy, have you brought these concerns of yours to the president of Bay State or whatever ER you brought?
I did try to email them, but it kicked back. So then it was suggested that I talk to like the director of the ERs. this is not my first time that this kind of thing has happened.
Right.
And given the fact that sometimes the phases of dementia are your age and my age, Zaida specifically, and younger. And so we look good, we talk good. Had a patient bring in his wife. He said she's a wanderer. She has Alzheimer's, 57 years old. They said, oh, we got this. And what did she do? She zipped on down the hallway and disappeared. You know, it just.
That's
so maybe
so interesting. Cindy, I just want to say one thing
go ahead, Megan.
that just so you all know, in the state of Massachusetts, it went into effect back in October. Well, it was definitely sometime this past year that hospitals were mandated to put in place a dementia operations plan. The deadline was originally like a year or two before, but it got pushed back because of the pandemic. So it's very interesting that you're having these experiences and having these terrible experiences, Cindy, because that's stuff we need to hear about, because these hospitals are supposed to be, well, like we've said, they're supposed to be dementia friendly and age friendly, but they're also by law supposed to now have a dementia operations plan in effect, that was supposed to go in effect this past year. So it's just very
about a year ago,
disappointing that this is still happening so regularly.
So I'm wondering, Miss Z and Megan, actually, if you as I would say the leaders in the city around these issues, you guys might, along with Cindy, kind of reach out to the hospitals to see if they have that plan in place, and if maybe you guys might need to assist them in getting it in place.
And that's actually what I was.
They might need some help, right?
Yeah, to do, some of the training, whether it's the training for the director of the ER and giving them a course of action that they can implement in their ERs. So instead of like a staff to staff training, I would do the training for the upper management staff, so they could, help implement that system. On the flip side, I'm actually seeing some friendly things happen in our city. I was in a cafe with a woman and the music was loud, and it really wasn't, but my poor little lady was thinking it was loud, and she quickly turned it down for me and switched it to like classical music. And she has medical social work case management background, so she knew instantly what to do. I went to a Dunkin' Donuts local, and these teenage boys that were behind the counter just instinctually took care of my the person that was with me. And then I was in Walmart on Boston Road the other day, and they have a sensory, I forgot what they call it, sensory decrease or something like that, shopping time. The only thing I didn't really like, it was like one day a month, and it was like 8 a.m. And so for those who deal with mental health issues or Alzheimer's and dementia, we all know nobody's getting up at 8 o'clock and getting out to Walmart. But would they adjust their time to say, 11 o'clock one Sunday a month, maybe let's take a look at the numbers and see what the quieter, because I can pull that up on my phone at any time. It says usually busy at this time, not so busy. We've all seen that, and designate that time that we take our folks to the store. But I'm more concerned with not only just getting the retail and restaurants and all that involved, but really we got to start with the medical personnel, because these folks hit the ER fairly regularly, a couple times a year at least, and they don't need to be treated a certain way, and they need to be understood.
So do you mind telling us, was that at Bay City, Cindy, or was that
yes, it was. I've had most recently Bay State in the past couple of weeks, and Trinity, which is Mercy. Yeah, both hospitals.
So I should know, but I don't know off the top of my head if they implemented their operations plan. They might not have by the deadline. I will, one of the upper level colleagues of mine at the Alzheimer's Association has been overseeing the hospital operations plans across the state. So I'll check with her to see what the status is of hospitals here and see if any have. Z, you find out what you can too, definitely. And I'll try to find out. And we do have example.
Hold on, Cindy, one person at a time.
Sorry, we do have example operations plans from other hospitals across the state that we can
Okay.
like give to Bay State and literally help them if they'll accept any help. But we
Mhm.
do have the like expertise to do that and what other hospitals are doing to provide better care.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much. And I think, again, I don't know what, the city council could do at this stage, but I think I want to thank you for bringing it to our attention at least. And I'm really grateful that, the Alzheimer's Association and the Springfield Dementia Coalition, we can work together to make sure that they're following those protocols. I think that, you know, the emergency rooms especially are a very difficult place to be at any time. And, you know, not only as a patient, but probably as a staff as well. However, you know, we do need to be mindful of the patients come first and, you know, customers are always right or whatever. But we have to be aware of that. So I'm really glad that you're bringing this to attention. Thank you, Megan and Z, for taking the lead on finding
Yeah,
out whether
thank
they have that plan. And then maybe Cindy helping them to kind of like, you know, comply.
Implement and get it really up and rolling. Yeah, because my guess is they probably have it and it's stuffed, Megan, under a pile of papers.
Right,
And nobody's really doing it. And what they don't really understand is in the teaching of the Alzheimer's curriculum, you know, I think it's called give 5 to get 20, you know, that if they just paid attention to what they were doing, it, like I said, with that nurse, if she had just taken 5 minutes to give me a proper report, we wouldn't have wasted the other 20 minutes.
Right,
Mhm.
right. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Sandy, anything on this topic?
I'm going to sound like a broken record. I think that education, again, not only educating the medical staff, but educating our seniors as well, even pre-dementia, pre-Alzheimer's, so that the more comfortable they are with their rights and with their needs and their family members and caregivers, the better equipped they'll be if they're placed, not if, when they're placed, because all of us are going to be in this situation at one point or another. I think Cynthia, not to take away from what you were saying, the hospitals are so understaffed and overworked that I find, and I've also experienced this very recently myself,
That's the issue.
that
Yeah.
their response is maybe not what they would normally be, but when you're exhausted and maybe ticked off at your supervisors or whatever for what you're going through, that you tend to speak before you think. And maybe
Yeah.
that in and of itself is an education piece we can work on, is
Right, exactly.
how to talk to these folks. We're forgetting that we're all human, and we're forgetting manners, and we're forgetting so much. And I think my goal with all of my centers is to keep reminding folks and be their voice when we have to be. But I'm repeating, education prior to getting to that point is also as important as meeting with these folks to say, hey, cut the crap here, you know?
Yeah, and it is just
That's my
about teaching
professional
on the
term, Cynthia.
appropriateness.
What?
That's her
Cut the crap.
professional term.
Well, I was going to put her on timeout, so
Yeah. Does that work?
I don't know, but I got kids to prove it.
Right.
I think you needed to give them the mommy look.
I
Mhm.
did. I tried it, that second one. She made me so mad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So there's a lack of sensitivity, I think, all the way around.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I think
I
that's why
agree.
Megan and Z, the Springfield Dementia Friendly Coalition, I think we need to get out there more. I apologize for not following up on the last time. We were supposed to have everybody on the city council get the training. We're going to try to do that again. We're not giving up. And we're going to continue to try to get the word out for everybody, because
We would
we
love
just
that.
never know.
The numbers are rising.
And they're going to
Yeah.
continue to rise, So,
Yeah, and we appreciate that very much, Veda, because it's also an election year, and we want to make sure seniors'
right.
needs are being met.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so maybe we can schedule a meeting to do your training or your presentation to the city council. I see, Councilor Allen is here. But I think it'd be a great opportunity to at least let the city councilors know, and from these meetings, other people can watch it later on as well.
Okay, sounds
All
good.
right, great. Thank you so much. If there's nothing else, anything else on this? I didn't know if Councilor Allen, did you want to chime in? He's driving with his wife apparently, because I saw her. No, I guess not. All right, well, listen, thank you all. Have a good night. Afternoon. Eat some lunch, Sandy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good to see you, Sandy.
Take care of
You
it.
Good to see you all.
Nice to see you.
All right, bye-bye.
Be in
Thank
touch,
you.
okay?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.